Right guys, I'm Golden Ninja Vlogspot, and in this video I'm going to discuss what went down with Jynxzi's stream. So this is all the rage in the community for like the past, I'd say, week or so. I'd never heard of Jynxzi before this. So for anyone out of the loop, Jynxzi is a popular streamer. I think he's got over 5 million subs on YouTube and almost, I think, twice that on Twitch. I'm not a big Twitch user, so I wouldn't really know. His whole thing is that he revives dead games. And Clash Royale is one of the biggest ones, and people like comparing that to GW2. It's like, oh, if you can make Clash popular again, he can make Garden Warfare 2 popular again. I can see the argument, but at the same time, Clash is a free game, Garden Warfare 2 isn't. And honestly, I thought it was quite overhyped at first. I was a bit cynical about it on my community posts. I mean, I was pretty proud of that joke, but that was mostly directed at people who thought that EA were going to notice and then they're going to start updating the game or making GW3 or that, which will never happen. Like, let's be real. But I did underestimate the guy's popularity quite a bit, because on the days leading up to yesterday, I'm hoping this video goes out on Monday. So on the days leading up to yesterday, the player base increased dramatically. People had stats for PC, and even though I don't think you can get stats for console, I definitely noticed an increase in the player base. I was able to find Team Vanquish lobbies without much issues, when usually I have to go in NA East and play it after like 3 PM to find them. So that's when I started to come around, and I was like, alright, so lobbies are going to get more populated as a result. We might be able to populate the more obscure game modes, and that actually did happen. I was able to find full suburbanation lobbies yesterday. There was also some discussion on the negatives of this. First of all, there's a lot of complaints about trend hops or something. They thought they'd only play it like while Jynxzi's playing the game, and once he moved on, then they'll move on as well. There was also quite a lot of gatekeeping in the community. I thought it was like,
oh, you're not a real fan if you came here from Jynxzi.
It's like, why are you complaining about having new players? There's also fears that the server would break from too many people playing, which is what happened in the first Garden Fiesta. Although I think that was only for PC. Although speaking of PC, people were also like,
oh, he's totally going to get 46, or he's totally going to get banned,
etc. Newsflash, PC players, not everyone plays on your platform. Jynxzi had already confirmed he was playing on Xbox, so that sort of invalidates that issue. Turns out the server overload thing was true. I played earlier yesterday and didn't have any issues, and that was where I managed to find a Suburbanation game. But a lot of people were also reporting issues. It wasn't just PC as well, it was on console. So then when Jynxzi did head on, I sort of like went on at the same time. I knew it was highly unlikely I was going to get in a game with him despite being on the same platform. But I did go on to see if I could find servers, and I couldn't for quite a while as a result of the player overload. Apparently there's only a max of 3 servers per game mode on PC and a few more on console, but yeah, there is a limit. I don't know if that's across all regions or per region. And yeah, that was an issue for Jynxzi himself. I guess we talk about the stream itself now. He started out by opening up a whole bunch of packs. He bought the deluxe edition, so he got a lot of the premium stuff. Keep this in mind later on. And he seemed to be enjoying opening the packs. But then he wasn't sure what characters were the good ones, so he decided to look up some tier lists on YouTube. And first of all, I got my 2 seconds of fame.
Jesus Christ. Oh, here we go. The new and improved?
But yeah, I think the best part of the stream came when he went to Wolfy's tier list, and Wolfy was actually watching, and then he edited the title to say, "Don't Jynxzi, it is so outdated." I honestly think that's sort of a bad way to look at the game, like going to tier lists and seeing what other people have said are the best. Especially since a lot of them are very inconclusive. A lot of characters there's very divided opinions over. I think he should have just played the game and see what he finds to be fun. Yeah, after that, then he tried to get in an online game at last. And he couldn't, because the old server thing. That was sort of anticipated in a way. When I was trying to get a game at that point, I struggled until I went through my friend list on Xbox, and I found out that if you join someone who'd already found a server, presumably before they got full up, then you can join. You'll probably be put in a queue, which I was. But yeah, I was able to get in that way. Shout out to iHeartChief, thanks for that, mate. At that point, I think he did private play, which honestly, that's probably the best thing to do at that point. Like, anyway, even if you could find online games. Although I think he wants to play with others. Also, at various points, both Wolfy and Zackscott showed up, and Jynxzi said he was interested in doing a collab with them, presumably separate ones. So yeah, keep this in mind later on as well. Wolfy had sort of like been building this up in his previous video. So it was something he wanted to do, and I think that would benefit like not only Wolfy but the community as a whole. If they did a big video on that and it popped off, then a lot of more people would probably start playing the game. But yeah, continuing on, once you start playing ops, I sort of like dropped off on the stream at that point. I kind of like checked in occasionally to see if there were any developments, and eventually he did find an online game somehow. I think it was North America East Turf. So that sounds all good at this point. He finally got an online match, and then things went tits up. Do you know why? Because stream snipers. And you're probably thinking that the people responsible are people I've beefed with before. Honestly, no. I saw the lobby for the few times it was visible on screen. Presumably he doesn't know how to press the window button to like show the scoreboard. There were no names I recognised. But you could see like a bunch of, I think, Agent Ps and Hot Rod Chompers going for him over and over again. And yeah, I'm guessing he found that pretty annoying. And I think he only played like 2 or 3 matches and then he ended the stream. Yeah. He said he was planning to go for 9 hours, but only went for 2 hours 30 minutes in the end. So honestly, it seems like he didn't enjoy the game that much. Which is what people are saying. But the way I see it is, I think he fundamentally enjoyed the game. Like when he was playing Ops, I think he genuinely enjoyed that. But then he probably realised it just wasn't a very good streaming option. 1, because of the server overload, and 2, because of the stream snipers. And maybe he might play it off screen and enjoy it more. He probably would, but from what I've gathered, streaming's his thing, so if he can't stream the game, he'll probably lose interest in it pretty quickly. So yeah, that's not a good sign for this revival. Seems like the server growth's going to die down pretty quickly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's going to last that long anyway, but it'll probably be a bit quicker, given how abruptly he ended. And I think he sort of said at the end, what game are we reviving next? So that would kind of suggest he's done with Garden Warfare 2, which, you know, is a bit of a shame. For what it's worth, I logged on about an hour ago. I think I was able to find more lobbies than normal. So that was something, and well, obviously I was able to get in because I think the first one I tried was Team Vanquish in Europe, and it put me in a dead lobby, but at least it put me in a lobby, so they do work now. But yeah, this is probably going to bring into question about, is Garden Warfare 2's reputation actually going to lessen as a result of this? Because people who haven't played the game before, I should probably mention that I think cumulatively across all streaming platforms, which is YouTube, Twitch, and something else maybe, I'm not sure. I think they're like 100,000 people watching at once. So yes, 100,000 people watching Garden Warfare 2 stream. Dead game, by the way. Pretty insane. Obviously, a lot of them are probably there for Jynxzi and not for the game itself. Seems like the people out on the chat are most Garden Warfare 2 fans are like telling them strategies and what to do, etc. But yeah, I do get an inkling that not a lot of people are going to stick around for this. I think some will, though. When I was finding these lobbies and Suburb Nation stuff, there are quite a lot of no plates, but there were all quite a lot of people who had played the game for quite a bit, so Jynxzi might have brought some old people back to the game as well. That's something to keep in mind. There's also the point about the fact that Jynxzi basically wasted money on this game, especially since he bought the deluxe edition and all of that. Since he bought that and quite a lot of the DLCs, it probably cost him a lot of money. Then again, he's not exactly skinned. He probably made more money from streaming it than he did paying for the game and its add-ons. But one thing to consider though, what about the regular people that have bought this game? Even if they do seem to have a bad view on the game as a result of Jynxzi's stream, they might think, oh, I might as well try and get my money's worth out of this. And obviously a regular person probably ain't going to get harassed online the same way that Jynxzi did. So as a result of this, I think the player base will be slightly above the norm for a little bit at least. But going back to the reputation, will there be a lot of people who think that the game looks bad as a result? With the fact it's so easy to stream snipe and there's nothing you can do about it? Probably. So that is not a good thing. But one glimmer of hope was the collabs with Wolfy and Zackscott. Unfortunately though, it's been reported that, I say reported that, I'm pretty sure this did happen. Wolfy commented on the stream when it like first finished. I think he said, I'll teach you or something like that. But then he's deleted his comments, so that kind of suggests that Jynxzi told him privately that he's no longer interested in the collab, and therefore the game. Which is a massive shame. If nothing else, you can see how excited Wolfy was for that to potentially happen. And I think playing with a pro would help him out more, like teach him the ins and outs and stuff like that. One thing I personally suggested, which will probably fall on deaf ears, but I said if he plays again, he should change his name to something anonymous so he doesn't get recognised. Which obviously isn't really feasible when streaming, since it's bound to show up at some point. Alright, so update. Wolfy did a video where he discussed the situation. He says that Jynxzi told him he is down to play, so the collaboration is not completely out the window just yet, so that's pretty cool. Also, Jynxzi seems to have corroborated this himself on stream. It seemed like both sides seem to agree that the collaboration is still possible. So overall, to conclude, unfortunately the stream didn't really live up to the hype. I never thought that the game was going to have like a massive revival that's going to last a long time or anything like that. It's a shame that Jynxzi didn't seem to enjoy the game, or at least didn't seem to enjoy his experience. With the server overloads, with the stream snipers, I do think he fundamentally enjoyed it, but it's just not very streamable, so he'll probably lose quite a lot of appeal. One thing I will say though, since I do think he generally enjoyed Garden Ops, maybe he'll play that more. Maybe more people would see interest in that and would get the game more popular. Because I do like Garden Ops, just not as much as multiplayer, so I don't play it that much. But But it does feel like I struggle to find other people playing Ops a lot. So that would be nice. And like I said, I do believe that a small portion of fans will stick around for the game. Maybe because they want to get their money's worth. Maybe because they think it wouldn't be as bad for ordinary people. Or maybe they're just curious and want to do more. Yeah, gotta say this was a little disappointing. You know, stream snipers f***ing it up for everyone just because they're miserable. Or maybe they're overexcited because they get to play with a big streamer, not realising that they're f***ing it up for him. Whatever it is, dick move. So I've been Golden Ninja Vlogspot. Thanks for watching. Check out another video here. Maybe the tier list that he briefly shouted out. And see ya.